With the addition of the Pegasus 35 Turbo to the Pegasus family, I've been using the Pegasus 35 Turbo on a variety of runs from 10 to 15 mile long runs to a 5K race. In this review, I'll be going over how the Turbo has held up and performed so far after 200 miles. Starting off with the translucent mesh upper, and one of the most breathable uppers I've ran in this year. I've heard a lot of runners commenting about having problems with the height of the toe box of the Turbo upper, and that is in part due to the racing stripe restricting the overall room in the toe box. The height of the toe box is going to be a major problem for anyone who has a higher volume forefoot and needs the extra room vertically in the toe box. This hasn't been a problem for me personally, but this is one of the first factors that is going to make this shoe not for everyone. When it comes to the rest of the upper, that uses a combination of the partial mesh booty and a flywire system to keep your foot locked in place, and the sweatback heel collar to avoid Achilles irritation that is very similar to the Pegasus 35. After 200 miles, this area of the upper has performed just as good, if not better, than the Pegasus 35 and shows no signs of wear. Overall, I've been really impressed with the performance, comfort, and breathability of the upper and would love to see this translucent mesh material used on other Nike models. Even with the improved breathability of the translucent mesh, after a 15-mile long run in humid conditions, I'd ended up with wet socks. The same thing happens with other long run shoes, so I don't fault the upper breathability or the ability of my socks to wick moisture. Just keep in mind that with the shallow toe box, this may be a shoe that you want to try on and run in before making a purchase. But overall, I've been really pleased with the upgrades to the upper. One of the biggest changes from the Pegasus 35 to the Turbo is the midsole. And a question I get asked a lot is how the ZoomX midsole has held up. With this being my first experience with ZoomX, I've been really impressed with the feel of the midsole. Over the past 200 miles, the ZoomX and React foams have maintained most of their unique bounce and soft feel. But I can tell the midsole is starting to wear out, especially on any runs longer than 10 miles. A few weeks ago, I switched out my racing flats for the Turbo and raced a 5K in the Turbo. Overall, the Turbo did well, and I saw a small improvement in time, but felt like the midsole was absorbing energy when towing off at a faster pace. When it comes to where the Turbo fits in my running rotation, it is a solid distance shoe, and that's where I saw the ZoomX midsole benefit me the most. As far as the durability of ZoomX and its performance benefits, I will be using the Turbo for my half marathon in October, but I will need a new pair. The midsole still offers a nice smooth ride, but it has changed enough that I'm not feeling the easier fast-paced bounce that I once did. Finally, a closer look at the outsole and how it is worn over the past 200 miles. The Turbo used a pentagon lug pattern across the outsole, and overall the traction has been really good on wet roads. The lug pattern of the Turbo wasn't as aggressive or deep as the Pegasus 35, and the wear is visible on the midfoot area and extremely bad on the lateral edge of the heel. I've always supinated and landed on the lateral edge of any shoes I've ran in, but the outsole wear on the Turbo is the worst I saw on any shoe I've ran in this year. This is the final reason I will be retiring the Turbo after 300 miles. So my final thoughts on the Pegasus Turbo are, is it still one of my favorite shoes I've ran in this year, but it's not for everyone. I wish the lifespan of the Turbo midsole and outsole lasted a little longer, but I've been really pleased with the performance and can't wait for my next pair to arrive. Let me know in the comments below if the Turbo is a shoe that worked for you, or what you think Nike should do to make the Pegasus Turbo a better shoe for next year. As always, thank you for watching and thank you for your continued support.